These are our notes over similar figures. Similar figure notes. These notes, it's not an episode. These notes are talking about how to find missing side lengths and missing angles. So just a quick review. This word that we have, similar. Remember, the word similar means that we have equivalent angle measures. So our angles are the exact same, and we have proportional side lengths. Proportional side lengths and equivalent angle measures. So another way you can think about that, they're the same shape, but they're different sizes. Similar figures are the same shape but different sizes. And its sign is this little squiggle right there. A little squiggle right there. And remember, congruent means that they're the exact same. Exact same. So for these notes, our side lengths are going to be similar, but our angles are going to be congruent. Congruent, again, means that they're the exact same. You don't have to color these in, but I just am because I think it's cute. So congruent, again, same size, same shape. Everything's the exact same. Like we talked about before, similar, they're the same shape, like these two glue sticks. Same shape, just different sizes. But these two little baby glue sticks are the exact same. So these two guys are congruent. These two guys are similar. Moving down to our notes, we have angle or triangle ABC and triangle DEF. When they're naming them this way on purpose because A and D, they're both coming first. Those are the same points. B and E, those come second. Those are the same points. C and F, those come last. They're the same points. So you want them to be written so that they go together. So let's take a look at our shapes. It first tells us that side lengths in similar figures can be written as a proportion. We'll get into writing that proportion over here, but for right now, I just want to make sure that we're good with how these things are similar. So this sign right here, yes, it looks like a less than, but it's really asking us for angle A. Angle A, what does that sign mean again? It says up top over there. That means congruent is the exact same. So angle A is the exact same as what angle over here? Angle D is the exact same as angle A. Then angle B, what is angle B the exact same as? Angle E. And the last one, angle C, is the exact same as angle F. The exact same, they're congruent. They are congruent. Now we've got to take a look at the side lengths. I highly suggest using your highlighters or colored pencils to help you look at the same similar sides. So before I even fill this out, I burped. What I would want to do is I want to use my highlighter and highlight corresponding sides. So this side here, what's the similar side on this shape? This one right there. This long side right here matches up with what side over here? Right there. And then the last one is the bottom for both of those. They match up. So now that I've gotten all my sides colored and highlighted, that's going to make filling in this section a little bit easier for you. So side AB is similar to, because they're not the exact same, AB, that's my pink side, is similar to DE. BC, that's my blue side, is similar to, again that squiggle means similar to, EF. EF. And then my last one, AC, is similar to DF. DF. When you're writing your letters, you want to write them in order alphabetically. Write them in order alphabetically. And like it said up here, one more time, side lengths and similar figures can be written as a proportion. Because they're similar figures, they have proportional side lengths. So if I take a look here on my side AB, that was my pink side, is similar to DE, this other pink side on my smaller shape. My BC, down on that bottom side, my blue, is proportional to EF, my smaller bottom side. They set up in a proportion because they're equivalent fractions. Because if I simplify both of these, 8 divided by 4 equals 2. 6 divided by 3 equals 2. They both simplify to the same number, so they're proportional with each other. We're going to write down a few more proportions that we can use from this shape. Before, we had talked about having a word ratio to help us set up our proportions. And I still want to see you guys do that here. I still want to see you guys set up a word ratio to help you fill in this information. The words that we're going to use here are, is it the big shape or the small shape on top and bottom? It does not matter which is on top or bottom. It just matters that the numbers go in the right spots. So for this next one, let's do our big shape, or big side over the small shaped side. The big shape side over the small shape side. Let's start with our green AC side. Let's start with our green AC. So I need the same colors on top and bottom because they are proportional to each other. So my big green side, that AC, is equal to 10 over my small green side, which is equal to 5. And then let's do our bottom sides to go along with it. So let's use our blues. What's my big blue bottom side? 6. And my small blue bottom side is 3. Because again, 10 over 5, that simplifies to 2. 6 over 3, that simplifies to 2. Like I told y'all, it does not matter if you do big or small up top, you're still going to get the same answer. So let's do an example where we have small over big. We're still going to get equivalent ratios. Again, start out with that word ratio so you know what ones, where the small or the big sides go. Let's compare our pinks and our greens this time. So let's use our pink sides to compare and our green sides to compare. So since this is already highlighted, I saved time. What's my small pink side? 4. What's my big pink side? 8. What's my small green side? 5, and my big green side is 10. Sorry, I forgot to explain. If you're confused where I'm getting the small and big, I'm referencing these shapes. ABC, that's my big shape because it's bigger than this shape. This is my small shape because it's smaller than that shape. So here, 4 over 8, what does that simplify to? 1/2. And then 5 over 10, what does that simplify to? 1/2. They should always simplify to the same number. If they do not, then that means you've got some numbers in the wrong spot. All right, so I want y'all to try one on your own. I want you to do small over big for the pink and blue sides. Small over big for the pink and blue sides. Pause your video, go ahead and try it on your own. My small pink side was 4, my big pink side is 8, my small blue side is 3, my big blue side is 6. 4 over 8 simplifies to 1/2. 3 over 6 simplifies to 1/2. How we were simplifying these numbers, this 2s and 1/2s, whatever that number you simplify to, that is called the scale factor. The scale factor is that number that you simplify to. The scale factor, it does matter what's on top or bottom, the big or the small size. So if I take a look at this question, it says, what is the scale factor from triangle ABC to triangle DEF? So I need to think about my ratio. ABC to DEF. Is ABC my big or my small shape? That's my big shape. And DEF is my small shape. Whenever we did big over small, what was our scale factor? It always simplified to the number 2. Big over small simplifies to 2. If they flipped those around and did small over big, then it would look like these two situations where we get 1/2 for our scale factor. All right, go ahead, pause the video. If you need a break, go take a break, go stretch your legs, go ask for a drink of water. But if you're ready, go ahead and slide down to the second half of the worksheet. Welcome to the second half of the worksheet. We need to figure out the measurements of the missing angles, the length of a missing side, and what that scale factor is. So let's go back through like we did up top, how we did up here, and we circled the corresponding, the equivalent angle measures. So let's do the same thing down here. Corresponding angles, they're in the same spots on different shapes. So this angle W would correspond with what angle over here? Q. What would X correspond with? R. Focus, focus, focus. There we go. What would T correspond with? Y. Last but not least, Z and S correspond with each other. If you don't have colors to do this, you can also, for example, put like a triangle over those two sides because they go together. You can do circles, you can do squares around them. You can do hearts around them because you might not always have colored pencils or highlighters. So you can also use those shapes to help you too. Let's also start off with highlighting corresponding sides. So that top QR, what does that correspond with over here? WX. YZ, what does that correspond with? TS. What does QT correspond with? WY. And then RS corresponds with XZ. Again, use your highlighters, they are your friends. Use your highlighters, they are your friends. So they tell us here that QRST is similar to WXYZ. What shapes are those? Those are trapezoids. Those are trapezoids. So first off, what they want us to do is line up the letters so that we can see what corresponds with what real easy. So if I do Q, R, S, and T, corresponds with W, X, Y, Z. That just helps me see even better that the Q and the W, they go together. The R and the X, they go together. The S and the, oh, Andrea. Ooh, they did not label these correctly. The S and the Z, those are the ones that go together. I didn't make this. I got this on Teachers Pay Teachers. We're gonna have to tell them. And then T and the Y, they go together. Ooh. Sorry about that confusion. So we do this because it helps us see. So normally, like I was saying, this side means angle T. But when there's the M out front like that, that means we want to find the measure of angle T. So that means they want to know how many degrees is it? How many degrees is it? The M out front stands for measure of angle T. So find angle T on your similar figures. It's right there. We see that angle T doesn't have an angle measure on there. But we know that this angle T corresponds with this angle Y. Those singular lines, those mean that they are the exact same measurement. So if angle T and angle Y are the exact same measurement, what would angle T be for its measure? It would also be 60 degrees because they're the exact same measurement because they're on similar figures. So the measure of angle T is equal to 60 degrees. Pause the video, try doing the angle of measure Q. The measure of angle Q. Go ahead and pause the video, try that one on your own. We see angle Q, I gotta give it 2 lines because it's not the same as here. So it's gotta get 2 lines. Corresponds with the measure of angle W. Those 2 angles, they correspond, so they're the exact same. So that means the measure of angle Q would be 120 degrees. 120 degrees. Now, we want to see the side length YZ. Find side length YZ on your picture. What color is it on mine? That is my green side. I need to figure out what that green side should be. The way that we figure out what that YZ should be is we're going to set up a proportion. We're going to set up a proportion. So, like we said before, we need to compare big and small. So since they gave us the small first up top here, let's have the small come first. And our proportion over the big. Our small sides over our big sides, because the small came first, then the second one was our bigger one. So small over big. So again, we know we need to figure it out for our green sides. So my small green side is what? 15. My big green side, we don't know what that is. Let's call that the letter V. Because I was going to do X, but we already have X in here. So we need to figure out what that side length V is. For my other side, my proportion, I have to pick numbers that we know. The only other numbers that we know are for what color? Pink. The only other colors we know are for pink. So we need to fill in with our pink numbers. What's my small pink? 10. And the big pink is 30. All right, now we have our proportion set up, and we already know how to solve this. We've been learning for the past few weeks on solving proportions, so we know that we need to do our cross multiplying and our dividing. So go ahead, pause the video, solve that one all on your own. So when we cross multiply, we do 15 times 30, which gives us 450. Then we need to divide by the number left out. So 450 divided by 10 is going to give us 45 for our missing side length. Our missing side length is 45. That V is equal to 45. And then last, they want us to find that scale factor. Remember, to find that scale factor, we just figure out what's that relationship between those two. So if I simplify 10 over 30, what does that simplify to? 1/3. If I simplify 15 over 45, what does that simplify to? 1/3. So our scale here is 1/3. Leave it as a fraction. Do not turn it into a decimal. If you turn it into a decimal, you're going to have to either round, which is gross, or you'll have to put a repeating decimal. That's too much work. Write this exact answer, 1/3. The last bit that we have on here is just getting more practice. So again, start off with labeling your corners of your shapes. D corresponds with what other shape here? Or corner, I should say. C. They are not in the same spot. D is pointing up and C is pointing down. What they did is was they rotated that shape. They turned that shape. See that? So they're not always going to be facing the same direction. You've kind of got to use some sense to help you figure out what's going to go together. I see that I have this 90-degree angle down there. So that means that there's also going to be this 90-degree angle right there. So that means that those two things are going to correspond with each other. So O and A, those are together. So then that leaves T and G to correspond with each other. Then we highlight our sides. I think it's easiest to start with the short sides. X and 24, those are obviously my short sides. And then I see if I go across from this 90-degree angle, those sides are going to correspond. They are between the red and the green. Those sides correspond because they're between the red and the green. And the last side we have is the longer side of the two that make up the 90-degree angle. So now again we have DOG and CAT. We're going to start off like we did last time, lining up your letters. DOG and CAT. I see my D and my C go together. They're both red. The O and the A go together. They're both blue. The G and the T go together. They're both green. So now we need to go through and see. Try this one on your own. What would be the measure of angle A? 90 degrees. It corresponds with O. They correspond, so that means they're the same measurement. That little box means that it is a 90-degree angle. 90-degree angle because it has that little box. We're going to do one example together, then I'll have you finish the rest on your own. DO, DO. So since dog came first, we'll have that be on top when we're doing our proportions. So we'll put big over small, big over small. Write your proportions. Side DO, we see that this one already has a number to it. So side DO is similar to, because that's the little squiggle, not what is it equal, what is it similar to? This side right here, which is 24. Go ahead, pause the video, fill out the rest of those on your own. DG is 40, and OG is 24. Those are all already given to us. But now they want us to find X. Where is X on your shapes? X is my yellow bit up top there. I need to figure out, excuse me, how long side X is. So that means I need to use my yellows. My big yellow is 24. My small yellow, that's my X. That's what I'm trying to solve for. And then for the other one, you have to pick two numbers that you already know. Do I know both my blues? No. So I have to go with the pinks. I have to use my pink sides. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't know why my voice is being weird. So I'm going to pick my big pink side, which is 32. My small pink side, which is 24. Go ahead and solve that for X on your own. Which gives us 18. So that means X is 18. Pause the video, set up everything, do Y all on your own. Pause the video. You should get that your Y is equal to 30. So now we have to figure out what's that scale factor. It's always going to be the same one as long as it's big over small or small over big. It's always going to be the same answer. So if I simplify 32 over 24, what number goes into both of those numbers? I could do 2, I could do 4, or I could go straight for 8. That's what I'm doing. 32 divided by 8 is 4. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So my scale factor here is 4/3. You can write that as 1 1/3. That's not wrong. You could write that as 1.3 repeating. That's not wrong. But in most math textbooks, most math classes, you're just going to see it written like that, 4/3. Don't do any extra work turning it into mixed numbers or improper fractions. Don't waste extra time turning it into a mixed number or a decimal. Just leave it what it is. If you have any questions on this, please, 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 please ask. And then go ahead and go on to the practice activity.